Days passed since then. Muriel, Nejire, and I became friends with Yin. We'd sometimes find each other around the city, meet up for work, or even hang out as friends again. Every day we became closer and closer to her, and it almost felt like we knew each other our whole lives. Yin had always been sweet, gentle, and patient with me. I can't count how many times I'd embarrassed myself in front of her, and yet she never thought I was weird or boring. After Yin interviewed me, she never left my mind. Her beautiful face and quirky smile would always make me all gooey and mushy inside, a mix of anxiety and excitement. And most of my conversations with Mirio and Nejire, I would just space out thinking about her. It got to the point where I had to memorize every feature of hers. Is that weird? Yeah, it is. And I'd spent my whole days wondering when I was going to see her again. I wanted to be with her. I just wish I was upfront and bold as Muriel. And maybe I'd be telling her all of these things instead of keeping those feelings bottled up inside me. On my day off, I decided to take some time for myself and enjoy the nostalgic sounds of the city and chilly winds. The cold night, I walked down around town with my sweater on and a long, woolly scarf around my neck to cover my face so people wouldn't recognize me. I was in the mood for some street food, so I left my apartment to get some, though just as I was about to turn the corner among the crowd of people, I noticed Yin just a few feet away as she walked in the same direction as me. Before I approached anyone I knew, I first thought about what I'm going to say, word for word, so I don't stutter mid-sentence. But with Yin, it was an unconscious impulse that drove me so differently. Without thinking, I hurried my pace to catch up with her and tapped her on her shoulder. And when she turned around and recognized me behind my drapes, Yin's vivid smile ran across her cute face like moonlight. "Tamaki, is that you?" I blankly stared at her for the longest time, infatuated by her glowing, sparkling eyes. And because I didn't say anything at first, I just kept gawking at Yin. I didn't realize until someone bumped into me and snapped me out of my own trance. And when I understood the position I was in, I quickly buried my face under the scarf, pulling it up and cover half of my face. "Hey, Yin," I spoke with a muffled tone of my voice, covered by the thick wool. "Wow, what are the odds of meeting you here at this hour, Tamaki? And I see you've been taking the day off?" I nodded, uncovering my face gradually as the cold air I breathed escaped from my nose like steam. "Yeah, I'm actually going to where I usually go to buy Tokia. If you'd like, the two of us could go." Yin and I stood in the middle of a passing crowd, so people kept bumping into me and every chance they got interrupted me. "Move it, kid. People are trying to walk here. Go talk somewhere else with your girlfriend." Yin and I fled from the sidewalk into a more spacious part of town with less people. From then on, we strolled along the road, side by side, enjoying the colorful lights of the city from below. "Anyways," she began, "before that person back there interrupted us." "What were you going to say, Tamaki?" I winced, nervous. I didn't accept her to ask me that, so I just blunted out. "Oh," I stammered, "it's nothing really. I was just wondering if you would like to maybe go eat some street food with me. I mean, you don't have to. I'm sure you already have plans, so." "I'd love to, Tamaki," she replied, and I just stared at Yin again as she grinned enthusiastically. I didn't expect her to say yes. I hid my face behind my scarf again, smiling behind the piece of fabric so she wouldn't notice how nervous I was. Eventually, when I led Yin to where the street food was, we stumbled upon the Toiyami one. I ordered some octopus balls while she bought a crepe of her own. And when she turned around to face me with her dessert in hand, Yin caught me staring. "Hey, why are you looking at me like that?" she giggled. "Do I have something in my hair?" "No," I said as I shook my head. "You just look nice today." She scratched the back of her neck, looking at the other direction. Thanks, I guess." Nice. From all those words I could have described her, I chose the simplest one. I kept mumbling to myself how idiotic I was behind Yin so she wouldn't hear me. And by then, the Tokiyaki was ready. When the two of us started walking around the city again, eating our snacks as we chatted some more. "The sky is really starry tonight, isn't it?" Yin looked up, nodding. "Yeah, sure is. Today was my day off, so I decided to go out by myself too. No, I mean I spent the day around doing things, so I was getting so nervous I kept messing up, embarrassing myself in front of Yin like usual. That's why I often keep my mouth shut, so I don't humiliate myself more. But when I was with Yin, that's all I wanted. To talk to her, to listen to her. We both remained silent. The conversations were going nowhere, but I kept pushing myself to keep trying. The weather, it's really chilly tonight. That's why I brought my favorite scarf with me." Yin looked over her shoulder and examined my scarf, giving me a light smirk. "Yeah, I like it. It's really..." Yin stopped to sneeze, covering her nose with her finger, and she turned the other way. Her nose was bright red, and her cheeks started to burn too, from the freezing temperature. I circled Yin, trying to figure out what to do to help. "Are you cold, Yin? Are you?" I panicked. "If you don't cover yourself, you might catch a cold or something. Do you want me to..." I uncovered myself to wrap the wool around her neck, but she refused. "No, it's all right, Tamaki," she assured. "I'll be fine." I frowned, lowering my arms, worried. "But you might get sick and..." "Besides," she added, "you look really adorable in that scarf. It suits you, Tamaki." A rush of heat ran across my body to my face, and I was left bashful and speechless from her compliment. I hid my entire face behind my scarf, one of my eyes being the one thing exposed to the cold so I could see. Yin and I talked for the entirety of our time together. I never knew a person could have so much effect on me, and whenever Yin spoke, I couldn't help but feel so lost in her words. My heart would start racing whenever her bubbly personality shone above the rest. And Yin being there with me was all I ever needed to be happy without the reminder of tonight. "You know, Mirio told me the crepes on this side of town were good, so I bought one," she stated. "They're delicious." I placed one of my Tokiyaki balls in my mouth, eating it whole while I heard her talk. "You're a bit more quiet today, Tamaki," she pointed out. "How come?" "Well," I mumbled, "because you're here with me, and I like to listen to you, and I..." "What did you say?" she said as she brought her ear closer to my face. I was speaking so quietly behind the scarf, it was no wonder Yin couldn't hear me, but I couldn't bring myself to say it again. Never mind. After we finished our snacks, we threw away our containers, turned around, and retraced our steps the same way we came through. "Whoa, that crepe was really good," she announced. "Mario definitely knows the best places, huh? I had a blast at the amusement park the other day, too." Somehow, whenever Yin mentioned Mario, my weak heart would ache a bit more. I considered him as my closest friend, and I was always grateful for all the things he's done for me. But why did I loathe him so much when Yin talked about Togeda? I didn't want her to talk about Mira at all. I didn't want him around when I was with Yin. Despite the two of us being alone, it felt like each mention of his name, Mary was more and more with us. "You talk about Mario a lot," I mentioned. "He means a lot to you, doesn't he, Yin?" I forced a smile, trying to hide my envy behind my grin as I kept looking up front. "Yeah, Mario's really great," she admitted. "I really like him. I've never met anyone like Togeda before." I didn't know why I hoped Yin's answer would be different. I slouched a bit. Her words were like an arrow, striking my heart with each deadly blow. I ended up leaving relatively completely, looking down at the ground as my body just moved on its own. The things around me became a blur, and the noises turned into nothing but background, all except Yin's silhouette and voice. Of course she liked Muriel. Everyone did. I just thought that maybe she could like me more if I just showed her how cool and brave I can be. But why did you ask me about Muriel? Why not what I think of you, Tamaki? She questioned. I prefer being with you. I uncontrollably turned my head to face Yin, looking at her with a frown. Me? Why? I stuttered. I'm nowhere near as awesome and valiant and confident as Muriel. He's everything I'm not. A brief pause intervened with our conversation, and I was left without words again. Because you are very gentle, tranquil, heroic, and most of all, extraordinary, she replied. Even if you're faced with danger or something that might cause you anxiety, you face it with all you've got. Not everyone has that superpower, because even I chicken out when things get too stressful or tense, and I really admire that about people. Suddenly, Yin stopped walking, and I stood in front of her, face to face. She smiled at me, the same tender smile that always reassured me for the few past weeks I've known Yin. Her sweet expression and her kind words made me awaken something within, a feeling that I never felt before in my entire life. Sometimes, we all can see the greatness in people, and we often overlook our own. Every person that passed behind us became nothing but a blur as my gaze fixated on Yin's smile, staring deeply into her eyes. My eyes widened once more, my heart throbbing, and I couldn't barely feel my legs when Yin's eyes started twinkling in the night. I felt my entire face burn like before, gradually turning red as I deepenly hid my face under my scarf. Right there and then, I realized how much of an effect Yin had on me compared to other people. I had never felt so anxious and flustered and calm around other people in my life. At all. The same time. Never give up, Tamaki, 'cause I'll be rooting for you on the sidelines. Yin's speech was like a sweet melody to my ears. I felt so reassured by her words. I could feel all of my anxiety vanish just like that, and was infatuated by her voice alone. I tried so hard to hold back my emotional tears, I forgot all about my scarf. Gradually, the wind exposed my red face, and Yin was able to look at me completely, but I didn't even notice until the very end. You, I gulped. Yin, But before I was able to speak, I noticed a group of passing fans hanging out stalkingly around the streets from a distance, watching our every move, and when they knew I saw them creeping around, they came running towards us. I wasn't careful enough with the scarf, and now that my face was bare, there was no turning back. The fans split me with Yin, including her, from the barrier they had created to trap me inside, and I could only stare there like a doormat person I was. Senator, is that you? We saw you and we couldn't help but say hello, even with the scarf around you. Come on, Sun Eater, hang out with us. Let's have some fun together. They all spoke at the same time, walking closer towards me as they cornered me. I kept looking at each fan, unable to answer or speak for myself. Their staring made me so anxious, and my mind just froze, and I couldn't move my body at all. I was just a sitting duck in a pond full of crazed people. Wait, who's that, Sun Eater? One of them pointed at Yin. Are you two going out together? No, it can't be Sun Eater. You have to be single. When I looked over at Yin, I saw her turning around and walking away, and I suddenly recalled that time back when I left work, seeing her leave, frowning, and all because of my inability to say what I meant. Made her feel like an pushover. I didn't want to let that happen again, even with all these people around me, glued to me. I couldn't let Yin leave a second time. I just couldn't. I'm sorry, but I'm with Yin today. I have to go now. I lowered my gaze in order to avoid looking at the fans in the eyes as I pushed them away for me to leave the circle, searching for Yin. I managed to pull her away by hand, and we both managed to escape. Suneater, come back. This can't be happening. I couldn't get an autograph. After I made sure we lost them, looking around the perimeter for any fans, I turned to Yin, who was already looking at me. Though, when I noticed I was holding her hand, lifting her arm up close to my face, I quickly let Yin's hand go. Oh, I'm sorry. I immediately apologized. I didn't have any other choice. I had to pull you away from them or else. Yin shook her head, letting out a quiet puff from her nose, as the cold air exceeded her nostrils like steam. Why are you apologizing, Tamaki? She laughed. You saved us. Now come on. We still have a few minutes to spare. Yin had then taken my hand as she drove me around the city one more time. I was nervous, knowing my hand was held on the Yin's. She looked back at me, grinning sweetly before she giggled at my anxious self. I shifted my eyes downwards to our clasped hands, and the feeling of her warm skin in the cold around us caused my body to feel warmth under the freezing clothes. Yin was my first. It had been the first time I had ever held hands with a girl, and all of a sudden a harsh glare of wind pushed us back, causing my scarf to fly back away. We both chased it until Yin caught it, but instead of giving it to me, she began to wrap it around her neck. It suits me too, don't you think? She declared. Maybe I'll keep it. I blinked twice, contemplating the view as the scarf complemented Yin's gleaming eyes and red face. If you want it. Yin immediately started shaking her head sideways, continuously. No, I was just kidding. This is yours, Tamaki. I couldn't possibly. I helped her by wrapping the scarf correctly, covering her entire bare neck and below her nose, too, putting the ends of the wool on her back. After I finished, Yin's eyes locked with mine, and I couldn't help but chuckle lightly at how badly she put it on beforehand. Are you sure? She asked softly. Yeah, I nodded. I don't want you to get cold, and I'll blame myself if you get a fever. Also, I think you look really... I stopped myself before finishing, correcting what I was going to say. You look cuter in it than I do. Yin and I idled for a while without saying anything. But eventually, she grabbed my hand again and waited for me to react this time. Then, she stated, I'll warm your hand. We walked around the city some more before we parted ways, hand in hand, feeling each other's warmth through our palms. The scarf that once belonged to me was now on Yin's, and her joyful expression filled my heart with happiness when she wore it.